Ah, Blender. The 3D software that everybody loves. Let's try learn it in just 7 days. What could go wrong? As all smart people do, I consulted a shady Discord mod for advice on how to kickstart my 3D modeling journey.
NANI?!
Checking to see if their advice was legit, I conducted a Google search. After that ordeal, I sat down for 6.5 hours to watch the tutorials. And here is the finished product. After creating the donut, I attempted to make a cupcake by attaching the screw modifier to a Bezier curve. I rendered it in cycles unlike the donut because it did not require multiple frames to be rendered. As you can see, the final product's lighting was complete garbage. With the disappointing results, I watched a 5-minute video on Blender lighting and attempted to put my skills to the challenge with newfound confidence and somewhat crap skills. I would try to create something in 1 hour. All jokes aside, the lighting was very cool. After a long day, I got tired and decided to call it a day and hit the sack. I wanted to look into sculpting in Blender, so I started the day with watching a small sculpting tutorial. And do you want to know what I do with this newfound power? I make a Kirsteno's K, of course. At first, I wanted to make a stylistic character, but after using the snake hook and the elastic deform tools to make eyebrows, they evolved into fangs. All I needed to do was to make a Peppa Pig shaped nose and make ears. Kirsteno's K done. I moved on to make cat sculpts, which luckily didn't label me as a furry as they were so disfigured you wouldn't think they were cats. Let us take a moment to process the horrifying creation made on this day. F in the chat to pay respects. This was only the start of morbid creations to be made throughout this whole week. The end result was actually even worse than you could possibly imagine. Not wanting to end the day on a bad note, I invented a trend for the week. Each day I would create a donut depending on my mood. Hopefully, the later I got into the challenge, the less reference I needed to model each donut. Since I was learning how to sculpt, the donut I made had icing which was carved in by using the sculpt tool. Bad ideas, part 69. I see nice image. I remember that great artists steal. I tried to replicate picture horribly. I don't try to fix my English. There. This is basically how day 3 was spent. The nice image in question was Wacky Block's cozy isometric room 3D model, and I can confidently say I butchered it accordingly. Most of the furniture was made up of beveled cubes. The isometric room was one of the longest, most time-consuming projects made in this challenge, taking a whopping 10 hours to create. I was tired and ready to move on. As for my daily donut, I was feeling inspired after watching the Demon Slayer movie Mugen Train arc. Forgive me internet that it took me that long to watch. In the words of Reddit user Dark Theorist, set your heart aglaze. Was how it went down. Day 4 and I am learning about materials. Yay! So fun. Can't you hear the excitement in my voice? I start with learning about hair particles to create moss. Then I looked further into node setups in the shading editor. Boom. Moss. Job done. After that, I headed to ambientcg.com to pick up a few textures to work with, learn about displacement maps and use image textures as a value for some node settings. Testing my luck, I attempted to make liquids in Blender. Also boom. Fake beer done. It looked really fake, so I remade the model to make it look faker. There was this epic mochi donut store, so you know what I am making for our daily donut. Yes, I know that the colors are odd. I also know that if you bite into this donut all your teeth will break. I also know that donuts have imperfections. I promise I will improve it by the end of the week. Strong start to the day with the Blender Guru chair tutorial, which might I add does a great job on explaining UV unwrapping. 6 hours to make a single chair. I see this as an absolute win. Ignore how the chair is made of plastic and not wood. It's not like I was too lazy to UV unwrap the mesh properly to use the wooden texture or anything. What are you talking about? The next 2 hours were spent creating the new pufferfishy YouTube logo. I can confidently say it is much worse than the old one, but our channel promotes character development. I tried using jelly shading nodes to create a soft material for the project, but it looked strange and highly edible. Pufferfish are highly not edible. The lawyers were unhappy, so I scrapped that idea. A bit of Photoshop magic and this is the result. For my daily donut, I literally could not be bothered at all and made this cola jelly donut animation. Day 6 started with the daily donut, as I would need as much time as I could get because I was designing an asset pack. It was an improved mochi donut. Fun. After that I got straight into designing the asset pack, which I would name Kitchen Chaos. It was an asset pack with a refrigerator, hand mixer, actual blender, cutlery, big knife, plates and much more. I gathered reference photos and imported them into Blender. The laborious process of modeling each object didn't actually take too long. Let me tell you, the thing that took long was baking the models into images to make materials for was very time consuming. I modeled and texture baked half the appliances I wanted to make on day 6. Here were the objects made. Okay, day 7. I finished making the rest of the models for the asset pack and started to bake the textures. I was going at a record pace and guess what? I get a notification telling me there will be a power outage in 3 hours. The textures took so damn long to bake, I unfortunately only managed to create one material in Photoshop. With a heavy heart, I ended the challenge.